everyone? How are my clinical marketers doing? Happy Monday. Hope everyone's week is off to a fantastic start. For sure, those exact words I open up every Monday live training with. Ben, how you doing today, brother?
Doing good.
Right on. So, guys, today we have a very special training outlined for all of you that is going to make a massive impact in every single person's practice that watches this, that doesn't feel comfortable or confident with sales, especially not selling high margin cash rates to individuals who might have excellent insurance. And so today we're covering stage one of our $1 million cash practice sales framework. Now, Ben, using this exact framework, how much has your practice generated in the last year?
Yeah, we're at 1.1 million over the last 12 months. And all of it came through the exact phone script that we're going to go over today. So over the last, since we've been using this phone script, it's generated over like probably 1.5 million, $1.75 million in revenue. So it works. It's tried and tested over thousands of phone calls, literally probably over 1,200 phone calls of using the script and refining it and creating it into what it is today. So yeah.
So take out some notes, take action. Our clients alone implementing this stuff have generated $1.6 million in the last 12 months. Ben, you almost have all of our clients beat combined, dude.
They're getting there. They're going to catch up.
That's epic.
Too, so.
And so, guys, today is going to be a super valuable training. We got a lot to get through. And so we're not going to waste too much time. So if you guys are brand new to this community, first of all, welcome. I'm Jordan. This is Jordan and Ben. We're the founders of Clinical Marketer, where every single Monday we do our absolute best to provide the absolute best marketing and business education for cash practices compared to what other people are charging top dollar for. And so our only fee for doing this stuff completely for free is that when you guys find value in what we're saying, you comment value, you engage with us, you let us know that what we're teaching means something to you. Because every single time you comment, every single time you give us, smash that like or love button, that tells the Facebook algorithm to push this stuff out to more people. And so this is going to be a very high impact training, typically reserved for our mastermind members. And so I'm really excited to go through all this stuff with you because I know how impactful it truly is, stuff that you can actually start executing tomorrow and start generating more revenue for your practice. And so I know we got a tight deadline today, and so we're just gonna dive right in. So if you guys are here live, comment live. If you're catching replay, comment replay. You know what to do. All right. So what we're really talking about here is how to build a strong foundation and establish meaningful connections and relationships with your clients to turn cold leads into eager, cash in hand, ready to buy fans of your practice, and do so in such a way where you minimize objections and have those individuals sold on working with you before you even get to the part where you pitch your services and tell them what it actually means to work with you. And so we're going to go through the exact sales script and all of that stuff that we've used, but we also want to make sure that we give you a foundation to be successful with that script. Okay, a script is meaningless if you do not know how to use it. It's like giving, someone a sword and telling him to go fight someone who's trained for years on sword fighting. You're going to lose. Okay. And I can promise you, your prospects, every person you want to become a patient of yours is very, very highly trained in resisting sales. And so if you are not properly equipped, you are going to lose. And so this training is going to give you every single thing you need to, one, set the tone, build meaningful connections, overcome objections, and know exactly what to say to get these people who have great insurance to come and pay cash to work with you. And so without further ado, before we can go into this script, we have to talk about what I'm going to hit the record button on Zoom because I got this big sticky note on my computer that says hit record donkey to remind myself, and I still forget to do it. I'm so annoying. Wait, share, resume record. Oh yeah, okay. So in order to establish a true connection with your clients, and before you even start thinking about using the sales script, you have to understand emotional psychology. And there's really two big pieces to this whenever you're having a conversation. Is one, there's emotional connections, and then there's talking to someone, and then there's talking with someone. And so let's start out by talking about how to build real true connections and pull emotions out of our clients. Okay, we have to do so much more than just pull find out what their pain, what pain they're experiencing, what activity they're not able to do as a result of that pain. We have to do so much more than that because you think building a real meaningful connection with someone goes a lot deeper than just understanding like, okay, yeah, you have shoulder pain. If you want to build a true connection with them, you have to understand like, why is this person happy? Why are they surprised? Like, why is getting back to the gym so important to them? How is that impacting them? And so we have to understand so much deeper what's really going on in this individual's life beyond just what pain they're experiencing. So we have to listen for emotional triggers throughout the conversation that you're having with them, so you can ask piercing questions, so you can dig a little bit deeper into what's really going on with that individual. Okay, and so if the ultimate goal of working with a client is to make that person happy, don't you think it's probably important to understand not only what makes that person happy, but why that makes them happy? Because if you can find someone who's truly emotionally charged, and you can not only pull out like the emotions that they have and fears that they're having with, potentially having this pain long term, if you can find out like what makes them happy and all the different nuances in their life that are impacted by this, they're going to, one, already be in their mind convinced that they need to work with you before you even start pitching to them. So that's why it's so important to pull out these emotions early. So emotional connections that can happen in a conversation. And so there's an infinite number of ways that people can talk about different parts of their life that you should be probing on in order to get them really like connected and bought in. Like they're happy, they're guilty, they're embarrassed, they're afraid, they're angry, they're sad. There's literally infinite number of things, and you need to be listening to these and listening for these things so you can ask probing questions about those things to really figure out what's going on and what their real problem is. Okay, maybe they're embarrassed about their incontinence. Maybe they're afraid that this pain is going to go on forever and they're never going to get to go back to jujitsu. Okay, it's important that we look for these things so that we can pull them out into the conversation so we can diagnose, again, the real problem. Okay, talking to versus talking with. Okay, everyone gets this one, but everyone pretty much gets it wrong. When are you guys the most comfortable in a conversation? Probably not when someone is just throwing a pitch deck in your face or reading off a script. It's when it's a real genuine conversation, kind of like you would have with your buddy at a bar or sitting around a campfire with your family, when it's very informal almost. And so this is where people start to feel comfortable, and that it immediately relieves sales pressure, which you really want to do early on in the conversation, because as long as that sales pressure is on, your prospect is always going to be defensive, and it's your responsibility to knock those walls down as soon as possible. And so one of the biggest mistakes people in sales make is that they're always looking for an opportunity to interject and kind of say something that makes them feel like an expert. Now, notice I didn't say it makes you look like an expert. Okay, it makes you feel like an expert. Okay, and so what you never want to do is when someone's talking about their shoulder pain, interject and say like, "Oh yeah, we can fix that," because as soon as you say those little micro things, that creates sales pressure right away. And what'd you do? You interjected and interrupted this person from potentially telling you a highly emotionally charged story that you can then use and leverage to help make that person make the right decision for themselves. And so when you interrupt, you literally only guarantee you're setting the expectation that they can't tell you what's really going on. They can only give you surface level answers. And so you want your prospects to be able to talk as much as humanly possible. You barely want to have to say anything on your calls. If you're asking good questions, you'll really not have to say much, and your prospects will talk themselves into wanting to work with you. And so you want to build a real authentic connection. And so you need to be that listening ear for this individual, not the person that's just talking the entire time. Just like if you go to like a therapy session, like a psychologist, okay, how much are they actually talking? Barely any. They're asking questions that guide that person to make the right decision. And so that is your job on these sales calls. And so when you're being talked with, obviously that is extremely, extremely off-putting. And so I want us to really understand the definition of what a conversation actually is, so we're approaching these calls with the right intent. Okay, this is straight from the Webster Dictionary. A talk, especially an informal one, between two or more people in which news and ideas are exchanged. Okay, and there's a couple words that I want to highlight here. One, informal, super laid back, no pressure. It's just like you're talking with your buddy. There's two, people, which means that when they say someone, you're listening. When you do decide to say something, it needs to be meaningful and connected to what that person said to help facilitate further conversation and diving deeper into the issue. Okay. And exchanged. Okay, this needs to be a back and forth. Okay, this cannot be you just pitching this person. You need to be, most of the time, you need to be listening. Okay, now in a psychological, the psychological art to having a great conversation with someone and making sure that there is this two-way back and forth, there's really two key points that you need to take home with you and keep in mind every single time you're having a sales call. Okay, number one is you got to throw away your agenda. When you go in there feeling like you need to make the sale, you show up differently. Okay, people can feel that on the other end of the line, and that instantly creates sales pressure and makes people less likely to want to convert with you. So throw away the agenda of getting this person closed. Approach your sales calls as a consultant. Okay, your job is not to close this person. It is to help understand what their problem is, so you can give them the best recommendation for getting the result that they're looking for. Now, if you're the owner, hopefully you believe that their absolute best course of action is to work with you if they're the right fit. They might not be the right fit. And if that's the case, tell them that. Don't be afraid of repelling and telling some people that they're not a right fit, because when you do have someone that is the right fit, if you've been pushing away the people that aren't a right fit, you're going to be way more convicted in your belief that you can help them. They're going to feel that on the other side of that conversation. Okay, so throw away the agenda. Approach every single call as a consultant, completely emotionally removed from whether or not that person decides to schedule or not. Number two is you got to freaking listen. Okay, and so we're going to dive a little bit into this. Now, obviously, when you're on a call, like, your prospect does not care about what you want. They do not care about your practice. They don't care about your methods. Okay, the only thing that they care about is their agenda. And so right away, you need to do the best you can to figure out what that agenda is, what exactly they're looking for, and like why they're looking for it, why they're looking for it now, what have they tried, things like that. But most salespeople, they do this completely wrong, and people are actually coached this, which is abysmal. Okay, if you ask questions and ask people the right questions and listen, people feel validated, and that trust is formed and that connection builds. Okay, and so you really, really have to listen. If you're doing sales right, you're honestly barely talking. We're hiring for a sales position at CM right now, and listening to our calls, they're all really surprised that I really don't talk. I really don't talk. And this month, I closed at almost 90%, which is crazy because I don't really say anything on the calls. I just say like, why is that? Like, what do you mean? Like, that's pretty much all I'm saying the entire call. And these people are convincing themselves. And I've Ben, is it pretty much the same on your end?
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is when we brought on our front desk to do the sales training, they're always, after a patient states something or answers their question, a lot of times they're putting their own insights or thoughts into every single answer. They're making it really hard on themselves. I'm like, no, you don't need to interject, or they want to find common ground with them or something like that after every single answer. And they're making it really stressful and hard on themselves because they're having to think on the fly after every single answer. And it's like, no, just follow up with another question, right? It's super easy. It's like when you learn how to ask good questions, it makes it so much easier. And it also makes it so much not, you don't have to feel like you're a used car salesman or anything like that. It's generally just asking the right questions and showing people that you actually care. As well. So that's the beauty of it, is you shouldn't actually be talking, and the less talk you have to do, the easier it is. So yeah.
That's such a good addition, man. And if I say something and you have something to add, interject and shut me up. I know we're on a tight schedule here today, but I mean, that's such good advice. It's so important because people feel like they need to validate themselves by interjecting with some sort of smart thing that they've prepared or been thinking about saying, but all it does is make you seem unprofessional, and that all you're just doing is trying to get a sale. That's where it feels salesy. Okay, if you want to come off as a true professional and build professional rapport, which is so much better than just personal rapport, how's the weather, talk about sports, any of those things, because your buyers don't care that you like the same sports. They care if you're really good and able to solve the problem. And the best way to show them that you really understand the problem, that you are a professional, is by not interrupting them and by asking good questions and keeping them talking, because it shows them that you're genuinely interested in all the juicy details that no one's asked them before. Okay, so if you're like the majority of people, what you're actually doing is 45% of the time while you're on a call, you're thinking about what you're going to say next. The next 45% of the call is you're waiting for a gap to say the thing that you just thought of. Okay, you're not actually listening. 10% of the time, you're probably listening. Okay, and when you get really good at this, all you're doing is listening, and you don't need a script because you're listening and you're just asking piercing questions on how to better understand the thing that they just said, to make sure that you fully understand. We're going to go into deeply, like, what does understanding actually mean, and how do you make the person on the other side of the call actually think that you understand? Okay, so just by asking the right questions and listening, you'll find that most of the time prospects will convince themselves that working with you is the best course of action without even knowing your pricing, without even knowing what it looks like, just because you're the first person to actually listen to the things that they say. And by the types of questions you ask, you're revealing that you really understand what it is that they're going through. Okay, so what are you listening for on these calls? Okay, you're not just listening, you have to be listening intentionally. Okay, there are certain triggers in conversations that people say that if you can latch onto, you can unravel all the different emotional triggers that they went through during their journey that led to the pain point that they're now experiencing. Okay, this prospect will start to open up and buy more into your solution, the more of these emotionally triggered things that you're able to uncover. And so things that you're listening for is like, it's really frustrating, I'm really stressed, I'm excited, I don't know what to do, makes me more comfortable, this is a big passion of mine. Whenever you hear things like this, these are opportunities that you want to listen for and ask deeper understanding questions about. Oh, like frustrating? Like what's frustrating about it, just so I'm clear? Or, oh, you're super excited, like what's going on? Just asking deeper understanding questions and never assuming that you understand. Because even if you do understand, the person that you're trying to build trust with does not know that. Okay, so this is where we get into piercing questions. Now, this is a principle that I learned from my sales coach, who is one of the best sales coaches in the entire world. The guy's a machine. He's freaking awesome. I love the guy. But piercing questions is something that he has helped me massively with, and it's something that you need to get really good at. Okay, so there's two types of answers when you're asking people questions and when you're going through this script. There's two types of answers people are going to give you. There's surface level answers, and then there's emotionally charged answers. And we need number two. Number one is an indication that you need to ask a clarifying question. Okay, we never really know what someone means when they give a surface level answer. Even if you've treated 1,000 people with shoulder pain, when someone says, I've been having some shoulder issues, you don't know what that actually means. You understand the pain point and the problem that's going on physiologically, but you don't understand the journey that person has already gone on to get to that point. Just like me, if I injure my shoulder, it'd be the first time I really did that and the first time I needed to go help with it. My how emotionally charged I am to solve that problem is going to be very different than someone who's been experiencing shoulder pain for the last 3 years, has seen every specialist in town and wants and needs answers and is like almost mistrusting at this point. And so it's really important to understand the journey that people are on and never allow your ego to get in the way of you getting to understand this person's journey. Okay, so what most people do is they incorrectly assume that they know exactly what that person is going through and feels like, because you maybe just had 5 other calls that sounded exactly the same. But you need to remember that the person on the other end of that does not know that. You need to prove that to them. And you do that by asking piercing questions to fully understand, because then this person said it out loud. They know that you understand because you asked the right questions and you listened. Okay. So a massively important element on these calls is trying to understand that prospect's journey. Okay, we need to understand where they're coming from. And as you ask these questions, they're going to give you surface level answers. And those are things that they know that that you want them to say. But what we need is to understand, like, how is what they just said impacting their day? How do they actually feel about these things? Like, how is their life impacted by this? And so anytime we get a surface level answer, we need to remember to chunk down on those things to really figure out, like, what's the real problem we're solving? Because it's not pain. Okay, so to go through a couple examples here. I don't want to scroll down too far and give you guys the answers. Okay, so prospect number one, I want to get back to running marathons. Salesperson, okay, got it. What have you done in the past to try this? That's a great question to throw back at them, but we're missing a ton of opportunity to figure out like what's really going on with this person and why do they want to get back to marathons. And so this is what most people would do, but what you need to be doing is, I want to get back to running marathons. Salesperson, okay, how long have you wanted to get back to marathons for? Oh, I'd say about 6 months. So why now? What's changed for you in the last 6 months that got you to reach out at this point? Well, there's a race coming up and all my friends are running it and I don't want to miss out on it. Okay, great. Well, how would it feel to be able to run that marathon pain-free in 3 months or 2 weeks or whatever it is? See how like just by asking very different questions, now this person is in a completely different state of mind going into talking about how you can potentially get them there. And you have all these different leverage points to be able to get them to want to say yes, because now it's not just, oh, I have pain, I want to run a marathon. It's like, oh, I have pain, I want to run a marathon with my friends. It's only in 2 weeks. I know like it's going to feel really good to be able to solve that. I need to solve this right now. Okay. And so don't be in such a rush to get through your calls. Really seek to understand your patients before you really dive into this stuff. And so I know I went through this stuff really quick. Ben, do you have anything to add to anything that I said? Oh, you're muted, bro.
No, I mean, that covers, a large part of it. One thing that's also great is, and we'll get to this later down the script, but you can use this stuff if you get objections at the end. If they have objections about insurance or cost or whatnot, use this and reflect back on what they told you on the past and what's so important to them. So, but we'll address that towards the end. But just make sure you guys wrap your heads around this piece, because it will be helpful later on.
Right. So just a quick recap, because we actually got through that in 20 minutes, dude. I'm pretty proud of myself for that. And so the key takeaways from that first point is, if you struggle with sales, don't approach them as a salesperson. Approach them as an expert and as a consultant, where you're just trying to truly understand what their problems are and give them the best recommendations to get what they're looking for. That's really all you're doing. And remove yourself emotionally from whether this person buys from you or not. It's going to come through in your voice inflections and how you present yourself. And it's going to make these people want to work with you even more. Okay. It's a really, really powerful thing. And just remember, like, as you're going through this, throw away the agenda. Really just seek to understand this person and ask these piercing questions throughout the entire call. It doesn't matter if it's the intro, it doesn't matter if it's in the middle, it doesn't matter if it's in the pitch. Whenever someone says something that you don't fully understand, pierce down on that. Now, don't just seek to understand the question, but seek to understand why they asked that question in the first place. And if you do that, you're going to find the real objections that people might have with your services, and you're going to have that much more likely of a chance to actually convert. Awesome. Ben, you wanna take this?
Yeah. So first things first is, like, before you even get on, like, once you get in contact with them, you want to make sure like this is the right, like, that you've caught them at a good time, right? They have time to talk. So we pretty much just open the call like, hey, Ms. Smith, this is Dr. Ben with ProConnect Physical Therapy Informers. Wanted to reach out to you because we saw that you were interested in our Facebook voucher, or saw that you were inquiring through our website, or your friend you reached out, you gave us a call, we were able to answer, something like that. Just open it up and explain why you reached out. Like, ask them like, hey, did I catch you? But first and foremost, did I catch you at a good time? Right. And they either say yes or no. If they say yes, you get a micro commitment or a micro yes. And this is powerful. The more micro yeses that you get throughout the call, the more powerful and easier it is for them to say yes at the end of the call. And if they say no, then that's good, because that's also good, because that means you didn't get halfway through building the value and asking questions and then lose all that momentum and having to start over again. And that's where I see a lot of people go wrong, and they lose that momentum. So making sure that you caught them at the right time too. So and then also we state like, hey, I saw that you're having low back pain. We see this quite often, but I want to make sure that we can absolutely help you before we get you scheduled or anything like that. So if you could tell me, your story, how long has this been going on for, how this is impacting you, what you want to get back to, and just your story overall, Ms. Smith, that would be perfect. All right. This is kind of more word for word here that you guys can use, but in the general sense, I'm not going to just read it strictly to you guys, but big thing is set the tone on like why you're asking questions. Don't just dive into asking questions, because they're not going to know. Like, some people won't, if you don't give them the reason that you're asking questions, they're just going to be like give you really short answers, because they're like, they don't understand why you're asking these questions, and they just want to either get scheduled, find out if you take insurance costs, all that, right? So let them know what is in it for them. Why is it important for them to give you in-depth answers? Okay. And that is because you want to make sure that you can absolutely help before getting them scheduled or anything like that. Okay. You don't want to waste their time, right? So they understand that the more information that they give you, the better chance they have of not wasting their time and make sure that they get this issue solved.
Yep. Huge.
Right.
And this piece here is so important, because it's about eliminating sales pressure immediately, letting them know it's like, hey, no matter what today, like, I just want to understand to figure out if what we're working on here can actually help you. If not, which happens all the time, like I might refer you elsewhere. But if you are a great fit, we'll talk about it. But I'll make sure that you leave this call with next steps on how to get what you're looking for. And so all sales pressure is gone. Now you're just having a conversation. They're not defensive. By breaking it down like this, you're taking control of that conversation. You do not want your prospect to have complete control. Otherwise, they're just going to hit you with all of their objection questions right away. You're stuck on your heels and you're never going to close them. You need to take control of that conversation, let them know what the format is going to look like, why it's formatted that way, and then they're going to basically fall in line and follow along with the framework that you've laid out for them.
Yep. And so many people are like, how do I address the insurance question? The best thing is don't let it come up in the first place, right? Take control of the conversation. And that's so much more powerful. That's what the great part about this script is here is it allows you to take control right from the get-go, right? While you're also getting micro yeses. So now you turn a negative into a positive across the board. And you really just set the tone for the call. So it's super, super important there too. Just don't get the insurance question in the first place.
Ben, what do you do if someone calls and like right away, they're like, hey, do you take my insurance?
Yeah, so I'm like, hey, in case you get my name's Dr. Ben. Can I get your name real quick, right? And then they tell me their name. Like, awesome. Yeah, what's the reason that I'm assuming that you're looking for physical therapy. What's the reason that you're looking for physical therapy in the first place, Ms. Ben? Right? And they're like, well, I'm dealing with a knee issue. Awesome. Yeah, we see this all the time. Before we get you scheduled or anything like that, I'll make sure that we can absolutely help you. So yeah, if you could tell me your story, and then you just go right into this, right? So it's just really natural, right? Again, I take that question. I don't exactly address it. I just like, what type of people, would you go to somebody that's walking in the street and be like, hey, or like CPT, do you take insurance, right in their face? Like, it's kind of just like saying like, hey, let's be human to a certain extent, like to get your name real quick, and so you can kind of just take control over the conversation by asking a different question. So
that was so smooth, dude. That was like immediate too. Yeah. You didn't answer it. You just said, oh yeah. Like you implied that you will answer it, but you took back control of the conversation, kind of get your name, what's going on. Love that. That was an awesome answer. Okay.
And then from there, you need to understand their why. How did this injury happen? Like I like to ask like softball questions at the beginning, you don't want to go into super in-depth, like emotionally charged questions right from the get-go. Just give them some softball questions, like how did this injury happen? How long has this been going on for, right? Somebody, and when they answer these questions, it also gives me an idea on like how much are they motivated to get this taken care of? Like Jordan mentioned earlier, if somebody says that this has been going on for like 3 years and they've seen everybody underneath the sun for this, they're going to have to be emotionally charged and a little bit more motivated than somebody that's just been dealing with for a week, right? So that helps me kind of understand like, hey, maybe I need to ask these questions and do future pacing with people that have only been dealing with it for a week. So future pacing is essentially figuring out, hey, does it seem like be getting better, worse, or not changing? Like, well, it seems to be getting worse, right? And they're like, well, it's not really impacting me a whole lot. It just happened. Like, okay, if this continues to go on, how do you think this is going to start impacting you down the road, right? So it just kind of helps bring their pain point a little bit, just creates that pain point to be a little bit bigger versus you don't have to do that so much when somebody has been dealing with it for 3 years. So, and then also I like to ask, like, what have you tried so far to fix it? Okay. Just gives me insight into, have they seen chiro? Have they seen PT? Who have they seen for this, right? And what kind of answers they've been getting from people as well. And then one of my favorite questions, and it's imperative to be asking on these on the phone script is, how is this impacting you? Okay, because nobody's really probably ever asked them that question, right? They've been getting, anytime they've seen anybody else, all they get is, what is your name, date of birth, and insurance? They give somebody a call, right? So a lot of people don't really ask how this is impacting them. They just assume, like Jordan mentioned at the beginning. So asking how this has impacted them. And a lot of people will be like, oh, it's not really impacting me. I'm just having some pain with running. Well, how's it going up and down stairs? Oh, I guess I've been avoiding stairs. I've been having to take the elevator, at work. Just start diving deeper into like, hey, if somebody, don't take it for a surface value or face value when somebody says it's not actually impacting them a lot, because obviously it is, otherwise they wouldn't have reached out. It's your job to figure out how does this actually impact them. All right. And they might be like, well, it's not really impacting them. Like, okay, what does your workouts look like right now? Like, oh, well, I'm not doing any lower body stuff right now. Okay? I'm not doing strength training for lower body, and I'm not running anymore. Right. And then you can kind of get in those piercing questions about why is it important to them to be strength training? Do we have a timeline for this? Like, yeah, I got a race that's scheduled in 3 months. Right. So make sure that you're really diving into those piercing questions, like Jordan mentioned earlier as well. So
talk on this section forever because there's so many different like piercing opportunities that come. Like when they say, what if you try to fix this? And they say, we've gone to a physical therapist before. You can talk all day about that. Like, oh, like, how did that go? And then they say, well, it didn't go so well. Then you say, like, any ideas? Like, why do you think it didn't go so well? And so you can start to figure out like what is important to them when choosing a physical therapist. You can then pull back and use when you repeat this stuff back to them, when you kind of tailor how you present what the solution is going to look like for them. And so you'll always get surface level stuff with this. Just make sure that you chunk down on whatever they say. Don't just move on to the next question. Like, understand. Again, seek to understand.
Yep. And I really like the question too. Like, it sounds like you're pretty active. If you weren't having this pain, what would your week look like with regards to physical activity and exercise? Right. Helps them realize just how much this is impacting them, and helps them imagine getting back to doing everything that they want to be doing and how important that would be to them as well. So that's another good question that I'd love to ask. So
totally.
Yeah. And that kind of ties in a little bit into a nice progression into establishing goals. If you had no pain at all anymore, what would be the first few things that you would start to get back to immediately? Right? You figure out what is most important to them. What would a successful, I like tell them like, hey, as physical therapists, like we have our goals for our patients, but honestly, what's most important is what do you as a patient, Ms. Smith, want to get back to? So with that being said, what would a successful outcome look like for you? And what would you like us to ultimately help you accomplish? This is like one of the most important questions that we get really great answers for, and just helps that emotional component to come out and really figure out what's important to them. So, and then you like ask, what do you feel like are the biggest obstacles to getting to that goal? This helps people realize that they need your help. Like, well, I've tried YouTube exercises, I've tried, friend recommendations, tried rest, and I just need professionals' help, right? So they have to, again, talk themselves into needing your help as well. So, and then you can ask like, why do you feel like you're not reaching your goal currently, right? So these last two kind of play into each other as well, but it helps just get people to actually acknowledge that they need help with this. Okay, and sometimes they might know it internally, but once they speak, it actually becomes reality to them, which is really powerful.
Right. But what I love to do too, like when someone tells me their goals, I like to challenge them a little bit. Like if it's to run a marathon, it's like, well, why is that important to you? And then maybe it's, I've gained a ton of weight and I just want to prove myself that I can do it. Or, my wife runs marathons. I've never ran one with her, and I really want to get into it as well, so we can have that thing to do with one another. So like challenge them on their goals and figure out like why that goal is important to them. Because it might lead to something where it's like, maybe their goal right now is to just be able to get back to benching the same amount that they benched before, but maybe there's a follow-up goal with that where they're trying to actually like improve even further, which are things that again you can tailor and use, especially if you're a performance PT, that was going to help you a lot throughout the journey. So make sure, again, no surface level answers, always understand why their goals are what they are and why they're saying what they're saying. Cool. I love this section.
Yeah, and then this is actually one of my favorite questions, honestly, and something that we added to the phone script a little bit later in the game. Is one of the last additions that we added, but asking how'd you hear about us and why do you feel like we're the right fit for you? All right, or what's important to you when choosing a physical therapist? My favorite one is how did you hear about us and why do you feel like we're the right fit for you? Right, it gets them to sell themselves on you and helps you understand what was the thing that they liked about you on your website, or whatever way they medium that they found you, what was most important to them on that, and capitalize on that. Okay. And also just gives you good insight into your marketing strategies, and like which ones are working, which ones not. So we make notes of that too. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone. And then also, like we asked like earlier, what have you tried before? What worked, what didn't work? And if they say like tried physical therapy, well, you know, what's important to you now that you've been to physical therapy elsewhere that you're looking for a different this time around, right? And then you capitalize and double down on that when you're explaining on how PT works with you, okay? What they can expect. Okay.
We're going to circle back on that in a little bit, 'cause there's another thing that I love to do that's kind of in the presentation stage that works so good to get people to sell themselves to you. It's awesome.
Yeah, and then another thing that I really like to do is repeat back to them everything that they said. Again, you're probably the first, especially even if somebody's been to like, you know, dozens of other professionals, medical professionals, you're probably the only person, once you repeat back to them everything that they said to you, you're probably the first person that they actually felt like that somebody actually finally truly listened to them. So we are writing down everything that you can write it down. You can type it up on your laptop. You can take notes on your phone. That's how I do it, is I take notes on my phone. We have a front desk who writes it down. Some people will type it up, whatever mode works best for you. Just make sure the typing isn't too loud and distracting on the laptop. But we write down everything that they said. And then after they say like, you know, I think you're a great fit because of this, X, Y, and Z, like, awesome. Yeah. Based on everything you tell me, I think we could be that you could be the perfect fit for us. But I want to make sure that we got everything, that I didn't miss anything, and then repeat everything back to them word for word. Like this usually takes me about 2 or 3 minutes to repeat everything back that they said to me. And we get such great responses from people. They're like, yeah, that is perfect. Like they're amazed. Like you'll hear in their voice just how shocked they are. Like, yeah, that is like perfect. And you're a really great listener. Like we get that all the time. All right. So you build a lot of rapport with people, and makes a huge, huge difference by just repeating this back to them. And then when they get done, like, great, awesome. Based on everything you told me, Ms. Smith, you sound like a perfect patient that we just recently helped for a shoulder specialist. They just got done working with somebody about 3 weeks ago. They're having X pain and having difficulty doing X, Y, and Z. Yeah, they just finished the last physical therapy session with us about 3 weeks ago, and they're back to X, Y, and Z now. And now they're actually scheduled with us next week, where they're like, holy crap, I got back to running. And now they just planned to do a half marathon in 6 months. And so now we're helping them do training and performance with them as well. So this helps pre-frame continuity even when they're done with PT as well, just by setting the tone there too.
Right. And something I want to add and layer into the repeat pack stage, something that you can do that works super well, that feeds perfectly into the tell the story phase. It's a little bit more like advanced, but the way I like to do it is say, you know, I'm super confident that we can get you a great result, but just so you understand why I'm confident, let me tell you why. And then you basically say, know how you said that you've been trying to get back to the gym, and every single time you do squat, you have to go down in a lot of weight. Remember when he said that? Yeah, well, so-and-so who was just working with went through this exact same thing. And so you have the same effect of repeating back to them what problems they talked about in their journey, but you can also layer in like, here's why I know that I can solve this thing specifically that you just mentioned. And so it kind of layers it all in together. And it just comes off really good when you just say, hey, because everyone just says, hey, I know we're a great fit for you. We confident we can get you a great result. Then they go into the pitch. But if you can explain to them that not just that you're confident, but why you're confident in a way that repeats back to them all the stuff that they just said to you, it's a really impactful thing that if you can layer that into your sales as well. And then obviously that ties in very well with your stories too.
Exactly. So, and then from there, I tell them like, hey, yeah, so I know you'd be a great fit for us and who we get the best results with, but I want to make sure you feel like we're the right fit for you too. I like to ask, like, if we haven't already, asked about like physical therapy, if they've been to that. Okay. It's a nice transition here. But it's also a great place to also ask them, because they've been doing most of the talking. Like you want to get permission from them, hey, to get permission to start taking over the conversation a little bit more and doing more of the talking. Right. And so it's like, is there, if I kind of tell you like how we do physical therapy and what you can expect? And they're like, yes, right? Another micro commitment that you get from them. Okay, micro commitments make it easier at the end of the call to have them say yes to working with you as well. Okay. So I essentially say our practice is significantly different than traditional physical therapy, in the sense that usually with other clinics, they would ask you to come in 3 times a week, where you spend maybe 15 or 20 minutes with the actual physical therapist before you're passed off to an aide or assistant, in my opinion, just doing a lot of the same exercise that you'd be doing on your own at home, or ones that you've already been doing. With us, it's quite a bit different. Every session is one-on-one for an entire hour. You'll always be with a doctor of physical therapy. You're never going to be treated by aides or assistants or anything like that. Usually the first half of the session is a lot of hands-on, soft tissue, manual therapy to help decrease any tightness or pain tightness that's contributing to this pain. And the second half is going through an extensive list of exercises for you to be doing at home. And as long as you're doing those at home on your own, there's no reason that you need to be coming in to see us 3 times a week as you would with traditional PT who utilize aides or assistants. Like our big thing, Mrs. Smith, is we want you to be independent. We don't want you to rely on us, another physical therapist, a chiropractor, massage therapist, or anything like that. We essentially want to give you as much education, exercises, tools, and guidance for you to be as independent as possible. So with that being said, patients typically just come in once a week. Over that week's time, you should have made progress. And the next time you come in, we're leveling it up and give you new exercise to work on with the end goal of getting you back to X, Y, and Z. Okay, we're never going to waste your time coming and doing exercise that you've done in the past or ones you could be doing at home, unless you have questions, of course, or want to review them. And then lastly, Ms. Smith, how we do PT is different, is we have a three-step process. Our first phase is obviously want to decrease the pain that you're having. But the second phase is really address the root issue. I think that's what's been missing over X amount of time. All right, once we fix that root issue, we want to not just zone in on this knee issue, but we want to be looking at the ankles, the hips, low back, shoulder, make sure nothing else is going to pop up and get in the way of you doing X, Y, and Z. All right. And then, like I mentioned earlier in the other story, we have patients that once they're done with PT, they're like, holy crap, this is awesome. I have a body that I didn't know was possible. And I'd like to kind of see how far I can push it. I want to be able to run faster, run further, cycle further, lift heavier, be able to go on longer hikes with my family. And so we work with people on that basis as well for performance and helping them achieve bigger goals than they ever thought possible. So I know that was a lot of information, Mr. Smith, but in a nutshell, does that sound like what you're looking for? Okay. All right. And so everybody's like, yeah, that sounds amazing. All right. Literally get this like 90% of the time. All right. So they're like, yeah, that sounds exactly what I'm looking for. All right. So you can ask, if you feel like they're kind of just like not super excited about it, you can ask like, well, what about it specifically? All right. You can ask just, again, piercing questions there. Most of the time I don't ask them why though, if they're like super excited about it. All right. I just continue to use that momentum and I get them scheduled. All right. So from there, we get them scheduled. Like, great, awesome. I apologize for limited availability, Mr. Smith. We usually typically fill up about a week or 2 in advance, but we actually had a couple of reschedules come in, so we can squeeze you in at X time at X date, X, Y, and Z. Which one works best for you? All right. And they're like, this time. Okay, great. What I'll be doing next, I'll be creating your patient profile with us, Ms. Smith. And upon logging in, you'll see some intake forms. One of them being the evaluation accelerator form. The only information I need from you is X, Y, and Z. So I get their name, date of birth, and their email address to send that over to. And I explain like the evaluation accelerator form, like, hey, this will help speed up the evaluation process and allow you to get even more treatment on that first session. Okay. All right. So we get that information, and then I go over cancellation and our location. Like, hey, also wanted to let you know we have a very strict 24-hour reschedule policy. I don't say cancellation. That's something I do different than really anybody else. It's just because why would somebody cancel, right? I don't even want to put that in their brain that why would they cancel? I say we have a very strict reschedule policy. If you need to reschedule any future appointments, Ms. Smith, make sure to give us 24 heads up, just so out of respect for patients that are on the wait list have a chance to be seen, because we do fill up usually 2 or 3 weeks in advance. I like to throw in the 2 or 3 weeks. You can see I've threw that in there a couple times because like it helps solidify that, hey, a lot of other people, you guys are busy. Like, people want to work with people that are clinics that are busy, right? It means other people are working and doing the same exact thing that they want to be doing, that they're doing. They don't want to be the first pioneer. Okay. And just kind of somebody's guinea pig, right? They want somebody that is booked up and whatnot. So we just state that, hey, just our respect for patients on the wait list, make sure to give us at least 24 heads up so they have a chance to be seen and get the help that they're looking for. All right. Now it's just not, when we mention the reschedule policy, it's not just benefit for us, but they are doing us a disservice to somebody else that needs help and is in pain. Right. So when we can tie that into that, it could decrease reschedules substantially. And then from there, I go and like, hey, also, I don't know if you're familiar with our location, but we do have free parking in the back. I'll be sending over a detailed map of our location and well as the free parking in the back. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. So I know that's everything that I need, but most importantly, what questions do you have for me, Ms. Smith? All right. And I'd like to state what, not do you have questions? All right. I want objections to come up. I don't want them to say, no, it all sounds good. And then they text or call 24 hours later and say, hey, I actually found a clinic that takes my insurance. Right. But you didn't know that that was a barrier or even a concern because you didn't give them a safe space to ask the question they wanted. Right. So what questions do you have for me? Okay. It's implying that you need to ask me something. Right. So this is going to help bring out any objections that they have. Okay. And a lot of people in this state at this phase will ask about insurance or cost. Some people won't. Like most of the time, say probably about 50% of the time, we actually have to bring up cost or insurance at the end. They're like, nope, everything sounds great. I'll see you guys next date. All right. But you will get some people that are like, oh, also I had a question about insurance and costs as well. All right. So what I state is we're technically out of network with insurance because sadly they do not let us work with clients in the way that we found to be most successful. But that being said, all of our patients do have insurance. All right. I normalize this because people think that if you go to an out of network clinic, it's for people that don't have insurance, which isn't true. Right. Normalize it. What we do is provide you with a super bill or a special receipt that has all the information that you need to submit to your insurance. We provide you with an app that takes less than a minute to submit these things, and then they'll take care of the rest. Typically, patients are reimbursed between 50 to 80%, depending on the insurance if they met their deductible. Initial evaluation is $225, and then you and your physical therapist and our shoulder specialist will sit down and discuss how many sessions are we anticipating that this is going to take. But like I said, this is something that he or she sees day in and day out, and typically patients in your situation only need 6 to 10 visits with us, and they're back to doing X, Y, and Z, and I relate back to their goals. So that's how physical therapy works with us, Ms. Smith. I had to shut up. Okay, there might be like a long pause, but most people are like, okay, sounds good.
Nice. It's crazy how well you know this, man. I could be on a completely different section.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap.
Literally, I've literally done this like literally over 1,000 times. So I probably say it in my sleep, honestly. But it's just so well versed and just refined, over literally thousands of calls. So obviously slow it down when you're talking. I just did it for time purposes. You want to be putting in pauses, change the tone of your voice, putting gaps in there as well to let, like, especially really important pieces, just really marinate. Okay. Really slow down and whatnot. I just went through really fast just for time purposes. Okay. So that's that there.
So
okay.
when you do get here and you do get objections, do you have anyone saying like, well, I really wanted to use my insurance?
Honestly, as we've rinsed and refined this phone script, we barely get any objections. If we do get objections, they're usually not the right fit. And honestly, we actually, for people that are the wrong fits, like instead of us having to push it away, we actually hope that an objection comes up, and then we can double down on that, and that's our out, right? So most of the time for patients that we built so much value, and that's what I think so many people focus on. Hey, how do you address the insurance question, or somebody has objections on cost or insurance? How do you address that? Or what do you say? Best thing is, just like we said at the beginning, prevent it from happening in the first place, right? Now you're battling upstream. Why don't you fix things that at the very beginning upstream, prevent that question from happening in the first place? How do you do that? By building so much value and piercing questions that they don't even care about cost or insurance, right? So that's the thing, is like, we don't even really have to do much for overcoming objections because we just don't get them. Like, unless they're like the wrong fits, we really don't have to overcome objections. Okay. One thing that you can do is, if we do get somebody that's like, that we know that they're the right fit and that we can help them, and that insurance is in the way or cost or whatnot, you can ask them like, hey, let's say insurance didn't reimburse a dime. If you got back to X, Y, and Z, Ms. Smith, would it be worth it to you? Okay. If they say no, it wouldn't be worth it, then the conversation's over right there. Like, it's just not important to them enough to do it. Right. So you can also, like, the thing you can do is you can look up their insurance information for them. Because if they call their insurance company, they're going to get answers, but it's not telling them the full picture, because insurance wants them to go in network. Okay. I encourage you guys to call your insurance company and ask what your out of network benefits are, and state that you're thinking about that, just to see what they state. So we like to, if we do get objections, then somebody that we know that we can help, we will look up their insurance benefits for them, We use Ability and look it up, and then we'll get them scheduled still. Like, hey, why don't we get something on the books tentatively? Just so, because we do fill up really quickly. I imagine these openings will be gone by the end of the day today. Let's get you just tentatively confirmed, right? So you have a micro commitment, and then you get them a call back and explain the benefits too. So that's what we do is we do. If it's for somebody that we know that we can help and we get insurance objections, then we will look it up for them as well. Okay. So.
And if someone says like, hey, this all sounds great, I know I really want to do this, but because I me and my spouse, like we always talk about investments, I got to ask them before I spend $225. What would you say?
Yeah. So first and foremost, a lot of times spouse objections actually aren't spouse objections. They're just using their spouse as a cop out. So we used to get, like, before I really had this phone script down and had the script I wanted to use, I got spouse objections like 10 times more than we do now. Is less people married? No. All right. It's just because they were using their spouses as a way out. Okay. That's not to say that some people aren't, like, that's not to say that people actually, it's not an issue. All right.
Some people
they could be. Some people are serious about it, and it's the truth. So I don't really get too pushy on this. Like, hey, totally understand. Wanting to consult with your partner or spouse or whatnot. If you have a spouse, you're like, hey, I'm the same way. What's a good time to give you a call? When are you planning on speaking with your spouse? Okay, you can ask, like, great, I'll give you a call back and discuss with you then. You can also hop on a call with the spouse. I don't get too pushy with spouse objections, but we really just don't get them a whole lot anymore. So, but I don't know. I know that, like, Jordan, how you overcome this, because I know sometimes you'll get this too.
And this really isn't something that you want to push too hard on, because some people are serious, and it's like if they're serious about it, it really comes off the wrong way. And so the way that I handle it is I make sure, as I say, spouse aside, that this is something that you want to do and that it's going to get you the results. There's no questions there, to make sure that there's no, the real objection isn't they don't think that they can get the result. And then if they say, no, I know this is exactly what I need, I just got to get, talk to my spouse, make sure that it's okay with them. And then I always say, follow that up with, like, okay, perfect. Now, when you go and talk to your spouse, like, what do you think they're going to say? And they'll probably say, like, oh, I think they'll say that I can do it because that's what they think you want them to say. But then you challenge them and say, well, even if they did have something, against it, like, what would they say? Like, what issue would they have with you moving forward with it? And then this forces them to say, like, what is the real thing that might stop them? And so they'll say, well, it might be kind of expensive. And then when they say that, you respond with, okay. And when they tell you that it's too expensive, what are you going to say to them? And so this usually you'll get, like, the deer in headlights. They're like, well, I don't know. I didn't think that far. And so this is where you're able to properly prepare them on how to have that conversation with their spouse. So they don't just go there and say, like, hey, I found a physical therapist in town that I think can help, but they don't take insurance and it's $225. That's not a pitch you're going to win against a spouse that knows absolutely nothing about the value you built up during that phone conversation. And so you want to challenge them, figure out what the real objection is, and then equip them with the information they need to help to overcome that objection if it comes up.
Yeah. So that's the big thing too, is if you do get a spouse objection, make sure that you isolate any other objection that might actually be underlined that they're not actually saying. Like, hey, outside of your spouse, like what Jordan said, does this sound like what you're looking for or what you want to do? Right. Or is there anything else that's holding you back from moving forward today outside of the spouse? Right. So really make sure you isolate the objections there.
Nice. And those are really common ones, but I think, just like you said, Ben, like, if you solve the problem upstream and just provide enough value and ask the right questions throughout, you should be able to overcome any objections or prevent them from ever happening before you even get into the pitch that you're talking about. Yep. So guys, this sales training, this outline, this script has generated hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars for cash practices across the country. And if you're insurance, this will still work for you. This is overkill if you're insurance, because you don't need to build up that much value to convince people. But this script is extremely powerful. So I highly, highly recommend you take this seriously. Give this thing a shot, because Ben's refined this over years of building his practice to what it is today. He's gone through pretty much every sales program you can imagine for PT. And we've combined a lot of the principles that we've learned from all of our high ticket sales mastermind program to create this script, and it converts like crazy. Okay, we've had people in our P2C program reach out to us and say that they sold their first several packages in the first couple days after going through this sales script. So get comfortable with it, practice it. And if you have any questions about how to execute this stuff, please do not hesitate to post them in the comments below. We're more than happy to help you execute, because really this is about helping the cash physical therapy industry move forward, because most of the time this information is locked behind closed doors, and we feel like the general public needs to know how to properly articulate the value of their services. And so please take this, run with it. Our only question for you guys, our only request from you guys, because we are giving this to you for free, is if you got value out of this training, comment value below, share this with a friend that you think would get value out of it. We just want to get this in the hands of as many practice owners as humanly possible. And so you commenting on here, letting us know you got value out of it, helps tell Facebook to show this video to more people inside of our community. So we appreciate you guys for being here. Can you link this script somewhere? Yeah, Mason, I'll actually throw it in the chat for you right now. What's up, Drake? Good to see you on here, bro. Then Ben, I know you got to run, man. So if you got to bounce, go ahead.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing too, guys. Like, take this and take it seriously. I know it's free, and so it's like less likely to take it seriously. But literally, this is generated, like Jordan said, millions of dollars. This is tried and tested over thousands of calls. All right. All the blood, sweat, and tears I put into making this. Please take it. Please use it. So it's really rewarding for me too, whenever I get comments and where people have, sold their first package, or they've got somebody coming in and they feel confident in their phone script for the first time. So please take it seriously and utilize it. And yeah, definitely comment, but also feel free to message me too. It seriously makes my day whenever I hear somebody say that they use my phone script and we're able to help somebody that they otherwise wouldn't be able to help. So thank you guys.
Excellent. Now, guys, if you want the script, because I can't post the link because we need to be able to control who is gaining access to it, comment script and we'll send it to you over Facebook Messenger, just because it gives us a little bit more control over who is leveraging our stuff, because we know there's a lot of marketers that sneak their way into our group. And we want this in the hand of every physical therapist, not every marketer. And so comment script, we'll get that over to you. Mason, I'll send it to you in a second. Drake, what's up, buddy? It's good to see you on here, man. If you, Drake, let us know how much this script has impacted you and how much you've been able to use it, if you wouldn't mind, man, just to show the real world implications of executing this stuff. But guys, I'll get this script over to you immediately. Thank you all so much for being here and being such an incredible part of our community. Some housekeeping items is we are doing a masterclass this coming Saturday on how to help physical therapy business owners scale beyond themselves inside of their practice. This is going to be a paid advertising for physical therapist masterclass, where we show what we've been using to rapidly scale physical therapists, how to fill new hire schedules, and how to be able to get into a place where you're confident about making that hire. And so this Saturday, we're really freaking excited about it. We're going to talk about it a heck of a lot more tomorrow. But those of you who are on here live, you're the first to know. So guys, have a great night. We'll catch you next time.